That is a very dreamy, catchy song by LAYYI, a local singer-songwriter and performer. That song is called Superhuman. LAYYI, real name SLO, recently performed on stage at the LaSalle Rock and Indie Festival, better known as LaSalle Riff 2023. It was a 2-day event held at LaSalle's McNally campus last month, showcasing up-and-coming local musicians within the rock and indie music genres, and there were some nice stalls supporting Singapore craft makers and creators as well.
Sounds like an awesome event.
Yeah.
Riff started in 2017. It's an annual music event organized and led by students from the Bachelor of Arts in Arts Management and Diploma in Audio Production at LaSalle College of the Arts. So let's bring on LaSalle student organizer and also Riff Festival head Nadhra and also the singer you just heard, LAYYI. LAYYI, let's start with you. What do you make of the Oscar winner Michelle Yeoh when she said at the beginning of her acceptance speech for the Best Actress, she said, "For all the little boys and girls who look like me watching tonight, this is a beacon of hope and possibilities. This is proof that dream big and dreams do come true." So what are your thoughts on that as someone who hopes that your music will also travel the world?
Hi, CNA. Thank you so much for having me. Firstly, I did watch Michelle's speech, and I do think 100% agree. I do think this is a big win for Asia, for Asian women, and dreams do come true. But I think something that hit me harder was the line that she said right after, which was that it's never too late to achieve your dreams. And she did mention that she's turned 60, and I being a musician, I do to a certain extent believe in a kind of a shelf life, that you have to succeed by a certain age. If not, like, it's never going to happen. But seeing that she has achieved so many things, and at this point, the Oscars, even in her 60s, I am so inspired, and it really is changing my mindset and my paradigm about this whole thing about shelf life in the entertainment industry. So I'm really thankful for that, for her life, and just what she stands for.
Yeah, she said, "Women, don't you dare let anyone tell you that you are past your prime." And for someone, I'm assuming, LAYYI, you're someone in your early 20s, right? Or are you in your late teens?
I'm actually in my late 20s. I'm actually 27 this year.
Oh,
so
girl, you got good genes.
Yeah.
You look like you're in your early 20s. But you know what? Early 20s, late 20s, you're still very, very young. And for you to think about your shelf life and to be inspired by the words of Michelle Yeoh is really something. So thank you for sharing that with us. Now let's talk about your song Superhuman, how you performed it during LaSalle's Riff concert recently. How did the audience take it, and did you tell them what the song's message was about?
I like to connect with my audience and interact with them, engage them by first telling the stories of how I wrote the song, and the song story of all of my originals. So I did tell them that the song is basically about how nobody's perfect. We're all equal human beings, no matter what pedestals we put them on because of social media or just the way that they're portrayed on media. At the end of the day, we are innately human. We all bleed the same blood, and I think just remembering our humanity amongst this landscape of social media and the internet, it perhaps could create a more compassionate and gracious society. So I shared that with them, and I played the song, and I think it definitely is kind of a harder message, like a stronger message to kind of digest. But at the end of the day, I think after I performed it, many people came up to me saying that it's beautiful and really hit something in their hearts. And yeah, I think that I've reached the goal of writing this song, I guess. So I think generally the reactions have been great. And I'm so thankful.
Yeah, it's wonderful that your art also has such deep meaning behind it, LAYYI. Well, let's bring Nadhra into this conversation. You're the festival head for the LaSalle Riff 2023. Was there anything different about it this year now that there were no more COVID-era restrictions? I'm sure there were, right?
Yeah, they definitely were. I think, social distancing, it was no longer a concern. So it actually allowed for the return of moshing and also larger audience sizes. We actually had full house shows for all 8 performances held across our 2 venues on the LaSalle McNally campus. Masks were also no longer a requirement. So our audiences were, singing or in some cases screaming along to the songs being performed. And I think more than just the lack of COVID era restrictions, this year was the first time we had a full-fledged festival village where we had about 10 vendors like Vintage Weekend, Sarah Thursday, Shuak, all coming down. And combined with the no social distancing, no audience capacity limits, it really added to the whole atmosphere of the festival. Because instead of only coming for the performances, you would see people patronizing the booths or just hanging out to chill in the open space of Campus Green.
So nice to see things going back to normal again, Nadhra. As a festival head, you must have felt a big sense of relief, and there was a lot of happiness there as well for things going back to normal. But also, Nadhra, you must have gone through a lot of learning journeys with LaSalle Rift 2023. You and your team going through a lot. Anything you'd like to share with us? Anyone listening in who has to coordinate a big festival, event or gathering, what are the biggest learning journeys you want to share with us?
I think the first and foremost would be just to trust your team and trust yourself. There were a lot of times throughout the period of us managing Rift that I personally had to stop myself from interfering with my team members' work and to tell myself that, hey, I chose this person for this role for a very specific reason, which was because that I know that they can do their job, that they are perfectly capable of doing her job. So I had to stop myself and let them take the lead because that was what I chose them to do. And I think the same goes for the rest of my team, if I can speak on their behalf, that there had to be at least one moment for all of us where doubt definitely settled in due to the volume of work that needed to be done. And I think none of us faltered despite this doubt was because we all had faith in each other within and also across the departments. And even with the trust, I think I really learned to just enjoy the journey at the very core. I really just enjoyed the journey because the road of managing Rift or any project, it's long. It can be very tiring and quite frequently frustrating. But if you take on a very positive approach to every obstacle you face or every bump in the road, you'll find yourself looking back once the project has ended and you'll feel nothing but gratitude that you were even given the opportunity to experience running such a large-scale event.
Yeah, sounds like you learned a lot, Nadhra. LAYYI, what about you? What are some of your learnings? And what do you usually take note of when you're performing at festivals and concerts? For example, do you engage fans or people who try to say something to you when you're in between songs or in between sets?
Oh, for sure. I feel like I mentioned in the beginning, something I really like to do is to actually engage the crowd, like talk to them and have them talk to me. I feel like one way to we all come to these festivals and shows to see the artists, right, and to hear them. But I feel like as an artist, I want to make my audience feel like they are seen and they are heard. And I feel like a good way to do that is to actually share stories and to connect with them on a deeper level. And that sometimes when you feel like someone else sees your problem, like someone else empathizes with you, you feel seen. And so I feel like that is the goal for my sets. I like to help my listeners feel like they are heard as well and they're seen. And I think that helps with engagement a lot. Another thing that I like to do is also to remember names, remember the names of the people who are working with me, the sound crew, the lighting people, the people who host me, and remember their names and to also just give them some credit, at the end of my set. Again, it's the whole idea of also they are the unsung heroes who make this whole thing happen, and yet we only see the artists and we celebrate them, but we forget to celebrate like the organizers and just the fact that there are people running this whole thing, and the artists who had no platform if weren't for these people. So I also do that at all my shows. I remember their names and then I try to give them credit at the end of my sets. So I think that really helped to just bring people together actually. And I really enjoyed that as a performer.
What about ones who try to be cheeky with you, LAYYI? Like they say something just to get a rise out of you, or if someone starts flirting with you openly, what do you do?
I try as much to be witty about it. I try to kind of use it to my advantage. But let's say if they're rude, if there are people there, there once in a while you meet people who are a little bit eccentric, and I do get caught off guard many times, but I try to engage with them in a way that it don't sound like I'm trying to defend myself or anything. Most of the time though, if I find that the audience, the people on the ground, they are very supportive. So if someone says something that was a little bit rude, then I found that in my experiences, a lot of the people on the ground will actually stand up for me, and I find that to be quite encouraging.
Speaking of your supporters, LAYYI, how many streams have you gotten so far for Superhuman and your other songs? Because I saw your Instagram, it was 15,000 streams. Was it Spotify?
Currently, I do have for Superhuman. It's actually at about 80K streams.
Wow.
Yeah, that's amazing. I'm so thankful. It's only been close to a month, and that's actually a huge achievement for an independent artist like me. So that's insane. I'm also really, really excited to announce that the song that my very first solo single that I released in 2021 has also recently hit more than 1 million streams on my Spotify.
Wow, that is a feat. That is really quite a feat. We're so proud of you.
It really is. Thank you so much. Yeah, I've never started doing music for the numbers, but this is really a gift and such a wonder. So I'm so thankful if anyone out there has been contributing to those numbers. It's insane.
Do you get a little fee for each song that's streamed?
Oh, for sure. But I have to admit, if you're an artist and you're relying on streams, it's not enough. You probably need a few million streams to earn a few thousand. So if you want to survive on streams alone, it's hard unless all of your songs blow up. But yeah, you do definitely get a little fee for sure.
That's good. I mean, it's great that you're doing something you love, and you do get a little bit of money from that as well. Nadhra, let's come back to you. One of the Riff's visions is holding an annual student-led arts event in LaSalle that many can constantly look forward to. So what's the new attraction or feature you would perhaps suggest to add to Riff next year, especially now that you've got all your learnings from this year's event?
I think I would go back more towards the student-led or just student-involved arts event, and I would actually try to get more student bands from LaSalle itself, because we being an art school, we naturally have an abundance of budding talents looking for a platform to showcase what they have to offer before they graduate from their diploma or bachelor studies. So that now that our outdoor space, Campus Green, has been tried and tested, and it works very well with adding to the overall atmosphere of Riff, I do think that it's a good direction to head into for future editions. I think even on a more internal administrative note, we recently, my batch of organizers, we had a mentorship program that we pioneered, and I think it did pretty well. So it's able to pass on the baton to future batches of students who will be running Riff. So I hope to expand this program a bit more and really develop it further, so that the knowledge that we have learned is not lost, and we can pass it down to the next batch of festival organizers, and from them they can also pass it down to the next batch. So it's we don't lose that abundance of knowledge that we learn from each edition of Riff.
Okay, there's continuity. You don't work in silos. Your good work bleeds into the next batch. So yes, we completely agree with you on that one, Nadhra. But what about you, LAYYI, as a performer? What would you suggest to the team that takes over from Nadra's team for next year?
I personally have performed in LaSalle a few times, and every time I go, it's been a great experience. They are really professional about everything. And I guess as a performer, but anyway, no pressure, Nadhra and LaSalle, for any of the suggestions. But, as an artist, I dream. That's what I do. I dream. I there's something that I've been seeing people do at shows, which is interactive media. I think because the whole thing about listening to music live is because of the experience, right? It's not just like the music itself; it's the experience of being in an atmosphere, being with people, and the venue. So things like, I mean, it could be really simple, like an LED screen and a Kahoot that you can send in your thoughts, and then you'll post it on the screens and stuff while is going on, something like that. I don't know. I think interactive video would be cool, right? But I don't know if that's a long shot, but I think it would be cool. No pressure again. Yeah,
Does make sense.
Yeah, anything to make a connection, right?
Yeah.
Exactly. Exactly.
Well, we've Nadhra, just one quick one. Do you want to go into events management or you want to do something else?
Oh, I definitely do. I actually came from a diploma in event management. So arts management was along the same stream. But more than just art events in general, I do specifically want to go into arts management and music management. So RIF was very in line with where I hope my career is destined for in the near and far future.
Excellent. Yeah. Well, both of you have very, very bright futures ahead. Thank you so much, LAYYI and Nadhra, for being with us on Singapore today. We really enjoyed talking to you. So thank you and all the very best.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you for having us.
You're welcome. Two very talented women there.